Hi, this is Jillian, and welcome to trigonometry. So, trigonometry, as you might guess, is a special kind of geometry, and the TRI at the beginning reminds you of three, or triangle, or tricycle, and so we're going to be dealing with triangles, geometry, trigonometry. All right, so first things first, we need to know certain things before we get into full out trigonometry. First is we need to know how to solve proportions. What is a proportion? A proportion is the name given to two fractions that have an equal sign between them. Honestly, that's it. Two fractions, equal sign between them, that's a proportion. These are, of course, two fractions because you just go like this. There you go. Here, you know that ratios and fractions are just different ways of writing the same thing. So here you can go 2 over 5 equals 3 over x, and then you have a proportion. And here we've got 6.3 over x and 7.5 over 8.3, and we have a proportion. Now, I know that you know it's not proper form to have decimals in a fraction, but this is just an example to get you to understand that no matter what you have, you can put the two fractions with an equal sign in between, otherwise known as build a proportion. And then, of course, when we multiply everything by 10 here, we're going to get rid of all of these decimals. So let's just solve for x. Here I have this times this equals this times this. It's cross multiplying. When you have a proportion, you can cross multiply. So we have 7 times x is, of course, 7x. And we have 3 times 8 is 24. Divide both sides by 7. And you get that x equals 24 over 7. And of course, we cannot reduce that. We know this because we know our times tables. And we know that 7 times anything is not any integer is not 24, so we just leave it at that because we were asked to express each answer as a fraction in lowest terms. We have to remember that after we answer each question, according to us, we think we're done, we have to reread the question and make sure that we actually answered what we were asked. So here, let's do this. So this is going to be 9 times x equals 2 times 1. And then when we divide both sides by 9, we're going to get 2 over 9. And of course, that is a fraction in lowest terms. Now you'll notice when I multiply these, I could have done 2 times 1 equals 9 times x and had 2 equals 9x. But I know we're all used to having the x on the left-hand side. So I just do it that way. Okay, now I'm going to do this one here. Here I've got 2 times x and 3 times 5. And of course, 2 times no rounded off number, whole number, integer is 15. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And when I do, I'm left with a fraction. Here, I'm going to, as I said, get rid of my decimals. So I've got 6 times both everything by 10. So here, this times 10, this times 10, this times 10, and this times 10. So now I'm going to do 10x times this is 750x, and this times this is whatever 63 times 83 is. And then, of course, I'm going to divide both sides by 750, and I'll find out what x is. I'm going to have to leave it in a fraction, not use a calculator and put it as a decimal, and I'm going to have to leave it in lowest terms. Now that doesn't mean that you can't multiply this by a calculator. You don't have to do it by paper. But when you're reducing your fraction, you can't just divide the numerator by the denominator and write down the decimal because the way they ask the question. So that's one of the things you need to have sorted out in your head about sort of prerequisite skills for trig.